What's up, guys? We're here in Spokane, right next to the convention center, and Mom's gonna tell us a road trip story. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the camera, face her, and roll up the window. That's right, and get to talking. She's gonna try to pay attention to traffic as she tells her story. But this is Mom's first road trip story, so there we go.
So we were here in Spokane. Maxwell was born very premature and was at Deaconess at the hospital up here. And I had a friend who, her dad was really sick and ended up being in the hospital at Sacred Heart, which is another hospital here in Spokane. And so her and her husband were up here, and they said, while we're up here, let's stop by, we can come see Maxwell. And so we lied because they wouldn't let anybody in the hospital other than immediate family to see babies in the NICU. And so we lied and said it was my sister and her husband, and we snuck them in to see Maxwell, and they saw Maxwell, and then they wanted to take me out to dinner, and I said, okay, we were just going to drive down the road, actually right down this road, to go to dinner at the Olive Garden. And they forgot, so we get down. I didn't have a car at the time because at that time Sergio would I was airlifted here to have Maxwell, and so I didn't have a car, and Sergio would come every weekend. He'd work for 4 days and then come for a long weekend every weekend. And so he anyway, so we go to get in the car, and they were like, oh my gosh, we forgot, we drove they had drove her dad's car up so he could see it, because he loved his little car. He had a little Corvette, and it was only a little 2-door Corvette, and so there was only 2 seats. So we're like, oh, what are we gonna do? I was like, oh, I can get a cab, or we can end up choosing somewhere else and walking somewhere close. And they're like, no. And so my friend was like, no, I'll get in the trunk. So
Are you serious?
I swear. And so I was like, well, I'm not offering to get in the trunk. And the trunk is super tiny anyway. So
that's hot.
She's really tall, but she's real thin. And so her husband drove, I sat in the seat, and she got in the trunk, and we closed the trunk, and we drove from the hospital. It's not very far, but
the hospital's right over there.
Yeah, right up here. And we drove from the hospital to dinner and back.
And dinner's right over here.
With her in
Was it Olive Garden
trunk.
or Chili's?
It was Olive Garden.
Okay, where's Olive Garden here?
Right down on
is it?
Riverside or
Okay.
River, whatever that
That's
is.
funny. Even I've never heard that story. I remember they took you out, but I never heard that she got in the trunk.
So,
Imagine being at the Olive Garden, they pop the trunk, and somebody jumps out.
she's just fun and crazy like that.
That was a fun story.
So if you know who you are and you're watching this, thanks for that memory.
Good times, good times.